Hello everyone. This is for the week 6 tutorial. Now, if you had noticed in the tutorial, the lab section had an error whereby you were not actually able to see what all things were happening in the Excel spreadsheet. It was error from my end, so this is a video whereby I'm just trying to compensate for that specific error. Now, we're working on Gantt charts. So Gantt charts basically displays the schedule for a particular project. Now, with the schedule of a Gantt chart, you have activity, you have some predecessor, you have the duration, that means the number of days it takes to actually complete a certain activity, and then you have a start date. So let's work on it. So over here, our start date is on the 2nd of July. Bearing that into mind, so it takes a duration of 3 days. Now, this is what we will need to notice is that it takes 3 days. So 2nd July is inclusive of that. So 2nd July is day 1, 3rd July is day 2, and 4th July is day 3. Or the simple thing you can do is you can just add 2 plus 3, which gives you a value of 5 minus 1. So this would be 4th of July, 21. Next up, you have activity B, the predecessor is activity A. So that means it begins on or starts on the 5th of July and it takes 4 days. So 4 days, so 5 plus 4 gives you 9 minus 1. Now, why are we doing minus 1? Because we are including 5th of July as the first day of the duration. So therefore, we will do a minus 1 to ensure that we have correct dates and so forth. So 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. So 5 plus 4 gives you 9, minus 1 is 8. So 8th of July, 21. After that, activity C, if you look at the predecessor, is also activity A. So activity A finishes on the 4th of July. Therefore, your start date is also going to be the 5th of July. And your finishing date, the duration is 2. So 5 plus 2 gives you 7, minus 1 is 6. So 6th of July. Next up, you have activity D. The predecessor is B. So this is activity B. Activity B finishes on the 8th of July. So therefore, your start date is going to be the following day, 9th of July, and it finishes, the duration of activity D is 5 days. So 9 plus 5 gives you a value of 14. 14 minus 1 is 13. So 13th of July. Next up is activity E, and the predecessor is C. So activity C finishes on the 6th of July. It begins on the 7th then. So 7th of July. Okay. And the finish date would be 7 plus 1, gives you a value of 8, minus 1 will give you 7. So 7th of July is 1 day. So therefore, this will again be 7th of July. Next up, you have activity F. The predecessor is activity C. So activity C, the finish date is the 6th of July. So your start date for activity F would be the 7th of July. And the duration is 2 days. So 7 plus 2 gives you a value of 9. Minus 1 will give you 8. So 8th of July. Next up, activity G. The predecessor is D and E. Now, this works the very same way as we were doing with our pie chart. So activity D finishes on the 13th and activity E finishes on the 7th. So we need to ensure that both these activities are completed, only then you can move forward with activity G. So therefore, the date which takes the longer time to complete is 13th. So this will begin on the 14th of July plus 4. 14 plus 4 gives you a value of 18 minus 1 gives you 17. Next up is activity H. So activity H basically has a predecessor activity F and G. So if we look at activity F and activity G, okay, so the one that completes the latest, okay, is activity G, which is the 17th of July. So you will have it as 18th of July plus 3. 18 plus 3 is 21 minus 1 to 20. So 20th of July. Now you already have your start date and the finish date. Don't worry about the year. We know it has to do with 21. So even if you want to have it, you can always go and remodify them, okay, using the date feature. We leave it as it is. We know what the dates are at the moment. So activity A, okay, so it takes 3 days. So starts on the 2nd of July and finishes on the 4th. So 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 1, 2, 3, 3 days. And what you can do is you can allocate a to it. Activity B, let's label it activity A, activity B, activity C, it's not auto picking, so let's go and write it down. F, G, H. Okay, now it should be activity B. Now activity B, A will start on the 5th. Okay, now let me just unmerge this very quickly. There you go. So you'll have activity A, you'll merge this up and you'll allocate a color. Activity B, you begin on the 5th of July and it finishes on the 8th. So 1, 2, 3, 4. How many days? 4 days. Now, please do note this, just in case it mentions in the question that the weekdays is just considered as 5 days. So you will need to omit out the weekends. If it doesn't say whether a week is 5 days or 6 days or 7 days, so you will use it as 7. Activity C, okay, so we'll try to make line alignments for that as well. Now it starts on the 5th of July and then finishes on the 6th. So 2 days is the duration time. You'll merge it up and you'll allocate the color. All right. Now activity D, okay, so it starts on the 9th of July and finishes on the 13th. There you go. Next up, you have activity E. Now, activity E begins on the 7th of July and it goes all the way for a day only. So that's activity E. Activity F again starts on the 7th and finishes on the 8th. So you'll select those 7th and 8th of July and then merge it up and allocate a color. Activity F, we have already done that. Activity G, now activity G starts on the 14th of July and goes all the way till 17th. So you'll merge it up, allocate a color. And finally, activity H starts on the 18th and finishes on the 20th of July. Duration is 3 days. So there you go. Now let's go and cross check if everything is good. Now, activity A, you started on the 2nd, 3 days, finished on the 4th. Activity B, your predecessor is A, that means start on the 5th. So 5 plus 4 gives you a value of 9 minus 1 is 8. Activity C, the predecessor is activity A. Okay, so 5th of July for 2 days. So 5 plus 2 gives you 7 minus 1, 6. Activity D, okay, so the predecessor is B. So you start on the 9th Add 5, 9 plus 5 is 14, minus 1 gives you 13th of July. Activity E, the predecessor is C, so it's finishes, activity C finishes on the 6th, so you start on the 7th and 1 day, so 7th. So 7 plus 1 gives you a value of 8, minus 1, 7, all over. Activity F, the predecessor is C again, so C finished on the 6th of July, so you start here on the 7th. Plus 2 is 9, minus 1 gives you value of 8. Activity G is dependent on activity D and E. So if you look at activity D and E, so the one that finishes the last, that particular finishing date is pulled off, so the 13th of July. So therefore, activity G starts on the 14th of July. Plus 4 is 18, minus 1 gives you 17. Activity H is F and G. So F and G, whichever takes the more time. So if you look at F and G here, 17, so 17 plus 3 is 21, minus 1 gives you a value of 20. Thus, our Gantt chart is as such. So what I can do is I can have the entire thing in all borders, okay? So that gives me a clear indication of which activity is where as such. Now, what you can also do is if you want to, you can have your bars in different colors. It's totally up to you. Or you can also go and write down activity A, activity B, activity C, activity E, activity E, activity F, G, and H accordingly in each and every bar. Pardon me, there you go. Okay, so that's your Gantt chart number 1. Now the next activity that I have is I'll quickly go and remove all of this. Now I had already discussed this in the last video, but unfortunately due to an error from my end, you were not able to see the screen. I would like to thank Jainesh for actually letting me know about this, else I had very little idea as to what went wrong. So thank you, Jainesh, for alerting me on this again. Now, over here as well, you have a set of activities with its predecessors and duration. Now, the numbers here, now what are these numbers used for? They are used to indicate the predecessor, and this is actually the activity name. The start date is the 1st of Jan. The first thing you do before you make your Gantt chart is for you to actually to figure out the finish dates. So let's go and do it. So activity 1, formulate idea. Duration is 4 days. Start date is on the 1st of January. So 1 plus 4 gives you a value of 5, minus 1 is 4. So 4th of Jan. Now, activity 2, the predecessor is activity 1. Therefore, this will begin on the 5th of Jan. Plus 5, so 5 plus 5 gives you a value of 10, minus 1 is 9. So 9th of Jan. Activity 3 is advertise. So the predecessor is activity 1 again. So that means the starting date is, no, predecessor is 1, finish date for activity 1 is 4th of Jan. So over here, you'll have 5th of Jan once again. And 5 plus 5 gives you 10 duration. 5 plus 5 gives you 10, minus 1 would give you a value of 9. Next up, activity 4, choose designer. The predecessor is activity 2 and 3. Now do notice that activity 2 and 3, they both finish on the same date. So therefore, this will be on the 10th of Jan. And it takes 2 days to complete. So 10 plus 2 is 12, minus 1 gives you a value of 11. So 11th of Jan. Next up, activity 5 is logical design. The predecessor is activity 4. So activity 4 finishes on the 11th of Jan. So here it will be 12th of Jan. And it takes 7 days to complete. So 12 plus 7 is 19, minus 1 gives you a value of 18. So 18th of Jan 21. Next up, check design. The predecessor for check design is activity 5. So activity 5 finished on the 18th. So activity 6 will start off rather on the 19th of Jan, and it takes 2 days to complete. So 19 plus 2 gives a value of 21. Minus 1 is 20th of Jan 21. Now build website is activity 5 and 6. So within activity 5 and 6, so activity 6 finishes on the 20th, which is larger of the two. So it will begin here on the 21st of Jan. Now, the duration is 21 days. Now, this is a bit tricky. Why? Because normally you have 31 days. So when you do 20 plus 21, it gives you 41. Now, this is how you'll separate it. So we know that there are 10 remaining days left in January. So it will make it 31st of Jan. Okay, so 20 plus 10 gives you 31. So therefore you have 10 remaining days left. From here, what you'll do is you'll take the value of 0, since you're including 1 in your duration as well. So you take the value 0 of Jan. So 0 plus 10 gives you a value of 10. And then finally you'll do minus 1, which will give you 9th of Feb. How did I do that? Let me show it to you once more. So you had 21st of Jan is the start date. So you add 10 and you reach the end of February. So from this 20 days, you have 10 days remaining. Next up, you will take a date of 0 of Feb. Now, why we're taking 0 of Feb is because we want to include that one value within the duration dates. Okay, so you'll take 0 of Feb and then you'll do plus 10, which will give you 10th of Feb. All right, and then finally you'll do a minus 1. Why minus 1? Remember our normal calculation, we're doing minus 1. It'll give you 9th of Feb. We're going to cross check this again. So 9th of Feb, pardon me, 9th of Feb, and you've got it something like that. Now what we do here is this. Let's go and figure this out. You can actually go to the calendar. Sorry, my bad, this needs to be 22. Pardon me for this, the year needs to be 22. My bad. Right, so you go to the 1st of Jan. Okay, so this is where you were on the 21st. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So 20th day finishes on the 9th of Feb. That means this is correct. Now, if you are not able to figure out by the calculation that I did earlier, you can always go and manually check in the calendar. All right. Now, the 8th activity is test website, and the predecessor is 7. So your 7th activity finishes on the 9th of Feb. So you'll give your start date as the 10th of Feb 22. So 22, so not 22, but yeah, 10th of Feb 22. So 10 plus 5 gives you a value of 15. Minus 1 will give you a value of 14. So 14th of Feb and then 22. Likewise here, number 9, fix errors. Now this basically has a predecessor of activity 8, which is 14. So your next activity will begin on the 15th of February. So 15 plus 2 gives you a value of 17, minus 1 is 16th of Feb 22. Thereafter, final activity, the predecessor activity 9. So you'll have 17th of Feb 22 and finishes in 1 day. So 17 plus 1 gives you a value of 18. 18 minus 1 is 17. So that's how you get your work breakdown structure set up. After that, you start feeding in the dates. So it begins with an activity, and then you'll have a date. Now your date starts on the 1st of Jan 22, and it goes all the way till the 17th of February. So let's grab a hold of the precision point and drag it across. So 17th of February. There you go. All right. So once we have that, now let's start feeding in. Now activity 1 is formulate idea. So 1st of Jan till the 4th, merge. Let's pick a color. I'll pick orange this time. Now do notice this. Total days is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Matches the duration? Yes, it does. And this time we'll also go and double click and type down formulate idea. Now, activity 2 is find necessary resources, starts on the 5th and finishes on the 9th. Merge, okay, and then you add in the color and then double click to insert your text. Find necessary resources. Thereafter, activity 3 is advertise, starts on the 5th and also finishes on the 9th. So merge, color, and then you will write down advertise. After that, choose designer, starts on the 10th and finishes on the 11th. So merge, color, double click, and you can type in your text, choose designer. Done. Activity 5 is logical design. Starts on the 12th, finishes on the 18th. Okay, and you merge this, add in the color, double click, logical design. And check design is from the 19th to the 20th. Select dates 19 to 20, merge, color, and then you put down select design. Is it select or choose design? Check design rather. Not select, but check design. Next activity is build a website. So that starts on the 21st and finishes on the 9th. 21st and goes all the way to the 9th. Merge, add color, and build website. Finally, you also have test design 10th till the 14th. 10th to the 14th. Test design. Test website rather, not design. And you have fixed errors, which is 15 to 16. And lastly, go live, which is 17th only. And then you'll select the color and write down go live. Now, once you're done with that, your date, what I would suggest you to do always is have it in bold and underlined. Okay, something like this, and then try to get entire thing converted into a table. Okay, and it finishes somewhere over here. So you have your tabular layout, and there you go. That's it. This is a simple way in which you can create a Gantt chart, and I hope this is easy for you to actually put in your project as well. Now you can even list down the activity names here if you'd like to, but if you've already written on the bars, that's fine. Okay, now for your project, what you'll have to do is activities. You'll have to research about the common activities while creating a website. Get the predecessors decided with approximate number of days for it to have as number of duration, start date, and finish date. Okay, so that's how you'll do it. And this is your level size on Gantt chart. Now, just a reminder again, this is very much similar to what I had spoken in our tutorial and lab video, which is already under the week 6 section of the Moodle shell. But just because I made an error in terms of the screen wasn't being shared, so you do not have a Excel spreadsheet showing you how it is done. So this is a video just compensating for the error that I made earlier. So, yep, thank you very much, everyone. I hope it's easy for you to understand. Should there be any questions or queries, feel free to let me know and drop me a message on Moodle or drop me an email. Thank you.